Hello, welcome along. It's Chris Reardon, today's United Kingdom talk. I was listening back to the last show we did, and I started rabbiting. Oh, I've just found I was looking for that earlier, my bank card. Well, you didn't see that, did you? Oh, my God. Maybe someone's just written down all the numbers on there. You're going to take all my money away, my darlings. Leave it alone. There's only 25 pence in my account. Leave it in there. There'll be a lot less than that once James Dean's had his fingers in it. I bet, you know, James Dean is coming to stay here. James Dean from the matineeshow.co.uk. Very good programme, OK? Him and Madam Aries do this show where they play lots of show tunes and all that and do a bit of chat. Once again, that's at the matineeshow.co.uk. Download on demand. No, but he's staying here for a while, and I'm a bit... I've got to put everything away, dear. It's all got to be put away. In fact, not only is he going to be staying with me for a night, but informants have informed me that he is also going to New York. Yes, going to New York. Shocking. Apparently, oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you this or not. I don't know. Apparently, he's come into, dare I say this, a bit of money, right? I got quite excited when he told me this. I mean, all of a sudden, I thought to myself, do you know what? That James Dean is not as bad after all. He's a nice bloke. I'd dearly love to have him as a friend, possibly to move in here. And then he told me how much this little bit of money was. I mean, quite frankly, it's not worth having. I don't know where on earth. I mean, I think this must be something to do with people that live up north. They get a couple of quid and they immediately think they're rich. That's what's going on there. Anyway, apparently, he's going to use this money to go and visit Suko in New York. Shocking, isn't it? You see, he's weaving his way in there, trying to nick my lost and loved listeners. Well, you're not a lost listener, are you, Suko? My loved listeners, my loyal... well, I don't know if I can use the term loyal anymore, Suko, to be honest, dear. I don't know. But he's going... And I have informed Suko about this, and I've informed her that, remember, James Dean is from... There's nothing wrong. Don't get me wrong here. There's nothing wrong with people from the north. You just have to know how to handle them. If they're going to stay in your place, then you must lock everything away. Don't leave anything to chance. Don't be putting something on the mantelpiece. Oh, that'll be all right. No, it won't. No, it won't. It will, as you blink, like that, as you blink, it will disappear. It really will. So lock everything away. No problem with people from the north. You just need to know how to handle them. In fact, I am considering when James Dean actually comes to stay here, I think it's next week or the week after, for just the one night, I'm thinking of just taking him straight through the kitchen, out the back door and into the shed with Tiny the cat. I think he'd be all right living with my cat for a night, don't you? And Suko did write me an email here, because I warned her to lock everything away. Lock it all away. And Suko replied to me, don't worry, dear. I'm making room in the locked closet for anything of value, especially my Bengay / United Kingdom Talk mug. Absolutely, my dear. She says, by the way, how come my Bengay mug doesn't have a picture on it? Ah. She says, did you send me an old, outdated one? What do you mean, old, outdated, dear? What, me or the mug? We're not quite sure what you mean, but is that me or the mug that you think's outdated, Suka? What a cheek, dear. I wouldn't be sending people outdated things. That is the first edition. It's the first edition mug that you've got, dear. The one that I'm sending out now is the second edition, dear. Don't you think yours would be of more value? The first edition Bengay mugs? She says... She says, maybe it's a limited edition one which will increase in value. I mean, have you tried putting it on eBay? There you are, you see. There you are. I think you'd be surprised, dear. She says, yes, that's it. It must be a limited edition one which will increase in value. Only the bestest for Chris's #1 fan and BFF. What do you know what a BFF is? Best friend forever. Oh, thank you, Suko. Because I did write to her. I sent her, and I'll tell you exactly what I wrote. James is looking forward to seeing you. Remember to lock everything away. Very light-fingered, dear. I'm very worried of his visit here. He tried it last time, but he was a bit dim in arriving in a removal van. It kind of started my alarm bells ringing. So there we are. I don't think you should have anything against people from anywhere else, but particularly people like James Dean from the north of the UK. You must lock things away, okay? Don't, for God's sake. Oh, and Suko, if you do accidentally leave your mobile phone on the side somewhere, okay, and you go out and you come back and it's still there, I think you should immediately cancel the account, because it's likely he would have picked up the mobile phone and rang all his friends from there so that he hasn't got to pay for the calls himself. All right, be careful of that. Now, I was listening back to the last show, and I was rabbiting away about Belushi's, and I lost the thread. Do you remember? I was telling you about Belushi's and what a fantastic night it was there Saturday, and then I got on to telling you about the girls that do the shots. That is, they walk around with a silver holster on and like a harness, like a silver harness type of thing. And in the harness, as it goes up, are little glasses what they can put little shots of drink in. Okay, now it's, as I said in the last show, one of the most awful jobs in the world, because literally and they're always very pretty girls. They've got to go up to people in the pub. Hello, ha ha. Do you want to buy a shot? Oh, it's awful. Awful job. Now, some girls are better than others. There's a particular girl there, little girl, she's ever so small, and believe it or not, her name is Sue Ellen. It is Sue Ellen, as Sue Ellen Ewing in Dallas. And we will, of course, be hearing in this show about Susan's visit to the Dallas reunion. That's coming up later. Meanwhile, back to the girl. So this is this little girl that I've worked. I think she's been there 2 or 3 times since I've been working there, and she gets herself ready, puts all the makeup on, and then goes around and goes around and starts selling these shots to people. And she's very good. She goes up, hello, would you like to buy a shot? And starts dancing with people on a dance floor and all that horrible job. And she's quite good at it. This week, we had another girl. Now, I'm not going to tell you her name, because that's not fair. But she clearly was not suited for the job. Now, I remember where I got lost here on the last show, because then I started wandering off and talking about girls in supermarkets, didn't I? Right, well, we won't do that this time. For a start, we've already done it in the last show, but I don't want to lose the thread this time. Now, this particular girl, last Saturday, she was downstairs in the office, so I go in the office just before I start to get some bits out and set them all up upstairs in the main part of the bar. It's Belushi's in Hammersmith. If you ever want to come down there, fantastic venue. I DJ there on a Saturday night between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. and I also host karaoke there on a Monday night between 9 p.m. and 12 midnight. That's Belushi's Bar in Hammersmith, London, okay, just opposite the tube station. All welcome. Fantastic night for everyone. Anyone can come there. I think I'm sure the age limit is about 18, okay? As long as you're over 18, I think that's fine. I've never seen any children in there. The particular venue is quite a young place, incidentally. I would say the average age in there is probably about 23 to 25. All right? So if you ever want to come down there, sing or have a little bit of a dance, that's it. Anyway. So this girl's downstairs getting ready, and she had long blonde, very, very pretty, don't get me wrong, very, very pretty, long blonde hair she had, and very, very nice figure. Oh, the straight boys are drooling now. I wish I had a photo to show you boys, but I haven't got one, dear. You're going to have to look at my ugly face for the next hour or so, okay? So she's down there. Now she's putting on the makeup. She's doing the eyelashes and all that. One thing I've never done, wear makeup. Well, I did. I tell a little lie there. I did used to wear makeup for a show that I was in when I was in the Cubs and the Scouts, the gang show, the Roehampton gang show. Now, there are some pictures of that in one of my galleries. Let me think where they'd be. Gallery 1. Now, if you want to have a look at my old pictures, just go to my main website, chrisreardon.co.uk. On the left-hand side, you'll see Gallery 1 and Gallery 2. The gang show ones, I think, are in Gallery 1. and on a sub-album, pictures of me and stuff, either 2 or 3, I think it's in, okay? Once again, go to my main website, chrisreardon.co.uk. On the left-hand side is the different things. Gallery 1, click on Gallery 1, and then find the album, Pictures of Me and Stuff 2, or Pictures of Me and Stuff 3. I'm sure it's one of those 2, okay? Onward. So this girl, so that's the only time I wore makeup was on that show. I often wonder if I should wear it to do this programme. For those of you watching on YouTube, but I wouldn't have a clue where to start. I'm a real man. I am a real man, dears. I really am. And I do not like these womanly type things, wearing makeup and all that. I don't wear any smelly stuff. What maybe just a little bit of deodorant. That's all I wear. Bit of deodorant. Nothing else. No aftershave. I think that's such a waste of money, aftershave. I really do. I wonder how many of you unlucky people are going to receive endless amounts of aftershave for Christmas. Are you going to buy someone aftershave? Don't do it. It's a waste of money. Most of the... I'm pretty sure that most of the aftershave that people get for Christmas sits on a shelf in the bathroom cupboard forever and eventually gets chucked away. I'm sure most people don't use it. Terrible, terrible waste of money. And you know how they make that stuff, don't you? Oh, it's taken from animals. Oh, it's dreadful. Dreadful. Don't buy people aftershave. Anyway, I'm sure we could do a whole show. We might have to do a whole show on what not to buy people for Christmas, just before Christmas comes, okay? Anyway, back to the story. So she's downstairs putting on all this makeup, right? And I walked in. I said, "Oh, well, hello, I'm Chris. I'm doing the DJing." And she looked up, "Oh, right, okay, I'm sorry," not really interested in anything I had to say. I thought, oh, here we go, yet another pretty young lady who automatically assumed that because I spoke to her, I fancy her. I thought, oh, well, I'll let that go. I said, are you up for a little bit of a laugh on the microphone? And she said, oh, what do you mean? I said, well, usually I like to say some things on the microphone while you're walking around. It gets you noticed as well and might get you to sell some stuff as well. Oh, right, OK. And then she actually smiled then, now that she thought she was going to get something for nothing. So that was that. So I went upstairs and started DJing. I always start off, pick up the mic. Good evening, welcome to Belushi's on Saturday night. If you've got any requests, come over and see me and all that business. A little bit later on, I spotted her coming up the stairs. I said, I walked over. I can't remember what I was doing. I walked over to the other side of the bar to do so, and she walked past. I said, all right, are you ready for a mention? And I don't think she recognised me, right? Because she looked up from whatever she was doing and gave me one of those looks like, how dare you talk to me? And I immediately thought, you ain't going to sell nothing tonight, girl. The whole attitude stank. It really did. And if she was like that to me, how on earth is she going to sell drinks to people in that pub? I mean, as I said before, it's one of the most awful jobs in the world. I wouldn't want to do it. But if you're going to do so, you choose to do something like that, you've got to be, even if you're not liking the people that you sell the drinks to, you have got to pretend at least to like them. The attitude stank. It really did. Anyway, so I went back over there and I thought, I'll ignore that. And I picked up the mic and I says, oh, by the way, and I mentioned her name. See, I noticed I'm being very careful not to mention her name. I said, is the girl selling the, I think it was ice for Sambuca or tequila tonight? If you want one, just stop her. Give her a little bit of a chat up, and she'll sell you a shot. And then she walked around a bit more, and the night carried on. A little bit later in the night, one of the bar staff thought, oh, I get on with, I really get on with him well. He's a lovely boy. We call him Spud. His real name's Liam. And he can't do enough to help. Whenever I'm doing stuff, he always wants to help me, and that's really nice. And he's actually just got a lovely girlfriend called Kelsey, who I met on Monday night at the karaoke for the first time. Lovely girl, really nice. And they actually look quite good together. Sometimes when you look at a couple and you think, yes, they look right together, or they don't look right together, or they actually do look right together. So Spud, no, his nickname is Spud, okay, Liam, Spud and Kelsey. So they're at the bar. So Spud came down. No, that wasn't on Saturday. On Saturday, Spud came over, and I thought, oh, he's dressed just rather smart today. But his face looked a bit haggard. Because I saw him, it was about 10:30. I started at 10. He came down at 10:30. So he's come straight over to me. He said, all right. I said, all right, mate. Because, of course, I'd been away for a week. I said, how's it going? He said, oh, all very well, thanks. I said, you're all right. I said, you look a bit smart, because he was all smart. You know, nice T-shirt and nice haircut, but his face looked a bit haggard. I said, you look smart, but you look haggard. He said, oh, I've just got up. I said, that explains it. You know that look? It doesn't matter how well you do your hair or put your clothes on, that look first thing in the morning, and that's what he had. Anyway, that disappeared after 10 minutes, and he looked all right again after that. So while he came over and chatted to me, I said, just a minute, I just want to mention the girl again who's selling the drinks. Oh, nearly said the name then. Did you see that? Nearly said the name then, sorry. So I picked up the mic going, don't forget so-and-so selling the Sambuca tonight. If you want to just stop her, chat her up a bit, and she'll sell you. And the look I got from her. And Spud looked over and he saw it as well. And he went, oh, my God, did you see the look you just got? I said, well, I did. I said, I'm not going to bother again, I tell you. I said, her attitude is just the worst. It's just the worst attitude ever that I've seen one of those girls do. I keep saying this, it's a horrible job, but if you're gonna do it, you've got to do it right. She absolutely glared at me, and Spud looked at me, and of course he was killing himself laughing. He was killing himself laughing at this girl who just gave me a filthy look. I said, I tell you what, Spud, I said, she ain't gonna sell anything tonight. Anyway, so that's the bit that I didn't finish in the last show. You see, talking about these, some girls are good at it. We had another girl there from Brazil. She was very good, and they're happy. The girls are happy all the time. You've got to get up there and you've got to walk around. Doesn't matter how you're feeling. You've got to be happy. You've got to be smiling, and you've got to chat people up and try and sell them the drink, because that's how they make. It's the only way they make the money. They're not paid a wage for that. They don't get a wage for doing that. They make the money on the amount of little drinks they sell. And this girl was going up to well, actually just a bloke, just a men, and she's standing there, do you want to buy a drink? Like that. Why on earth would you want to buy? I mean, I've met bar staff like that. I mean, we had this discussion a few shows ago, didn't we? I have worked with bar staff that, oh, I've just realised I haven't poured my plant over, have I? Just a minute, there we are. Sorry, those of you watching on YouTube, I forgot to put my plant into position. There we are. You remember I was talking about the bar staff, and there's been a few miserable ones of those over the years. Why on earth these people are left in jobs, I don't know. Because if I was the manager of a venue and I had a miserable barman, I'd first have a word and see what the problem was. And if it didn't improve, he'd be out the blooming door. He or she would be out the door. I mean, what does it say about you want to go and say, hello, can I have a pint of lager, please? £2.30. Oh, it's dreadful. And I tell you what, the gay ones are among the worst. They are among the worst. My own people are among the worst. If they don't fancy you, that's it, mate. Not all of them. Some of them. A few in particular. And don't start writing to me again, bar staff. Last time I approached this subject, I got all these emails and people saying, are you talking about me? Well, I might have been. I might have been. So that was the girl. Anyway, so the night carried on. Spud stayed with me and chatted for a while, and then he went over and had a few drinks with his friends, and I was left standing there alone doing my DJing. And as I said on the last show, last Saturday was a fantastic night at Belushi's. I put on this Bon Jovi song, Living on a Prayer. You know the one? Oh, living on a prayer. I actually do that at karaoke. In fact, me and Spud did that at the karaoke at Belushi's on Monday nights. We did do Living on a Prayer. I thought it went down quite well, that one. And people were dancing and everything. And at the end of the night, so I'm packing up, 2 o'clock now, putting all my stuff back together, and I have to take some things back downstairs to the office and collect my wages from a lovely little manager there, Robbie, who I've worked with in, I think, 4 venues now. Robbie's he's always been very good to me. I started working with him years ago when he took over a pub that I was already working at, and that's really, I think, where we really cemented our kind of working relationship stroke friendship. And I also worked with him in the Long Island Tea Shop, which out of all the venues I've ever worked, I think I would say it's possibly my favourite ever venue. I also worked with him at a place in Leeds called Religion. Only about 4 nights I did up there, because that was a that's a 4-hour journey that was. So just a couple of special nights up there I did for him. And now, of course, I'm working with him in my present favourite job, Belushi's in Hammersmith. So that's great. So I went down and got my wages. And he went out and... a couple of the other bar staff were in there. I said, what happened to the girl who was selling a sambuca? And they all started laughing and said, don't you know? I said, no, I don't know. What happened? I said, I know she had a bit of an attitude problem. She said, well, after an hour, because I didn't... After the second time I mentioned it, I didn't see her after that, right? So apparently, after an hour, she went downstairs, took off the holster and the harness and all that business and the glasses, took it all off, gave it back, left it down there. Said, "I'm going home. This is too degrading for me to do it." And she went. Is it a degrading job? I don't know. I mean, you have the choice of doing it or not. I wouldn't want to do it. I absolutely wouldn't want to do that job. I think, I've got a feeling it's one of those jobs that people could see other people doing and then think that it's an easy job to do. And it is not. It is a nasty, hard job. Apparently she left, saying it was she felt it was too degrading for her, so she went home. Completely and totally the wrong attitude. So I just wanted to tie that up from the last show. I couldn't believe when I listened, because I don't always listen. I listen to little bits. You know, when I write, and those of you that get the show from unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, which is the main site for the radio, for this show, okay? Once again, unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. If you get the show from there and various other podcatchers, like I think Juice and iTunes, then some of you, I know, get a summary of what's in the show. Well, what I do, after I've finished the show, okay, and I've put it all together, I then listen back to bits of it, and that's where I get the little summary from. You know, so far in this show, it might say lazy girls, plant not in position, just one-liners, and that sort of roughly tells you what's in the show. Okay, that's what all that's about. And that's so when I say I listen to the show, it's like bits like that, so I can write the summary. And when I listened back to the last show, I was horrified to hear that I'd got like 2/3, 3/4 of the way through the Belushi story, and then went off talking about something else completely different, and then forgot to come back to it. But it kind of hooks you in, doesn't it? It does hook you in. So there we are. That's the whole. So if you want to do that job, girls, you've got to have the right attitude. You've got to get out there and smile. All right. Now, what else are we talking about here? Let me see. I have to say, while I was on holiday, it was a lot easier. The fact that I didn't pre-record 3 extra shows the week before I went on holiday, because it all takes a long time. And what's happened before is when I've gone up to my sister for a few days, I've kind of I've recorded extra shows before I go, and then I can kind of put them on the internet system thing where you watch and download the shows, or send them to the various radio stations that are kind enough to play this show out, so that while I'm away, no shows are missed. The thing is, it's an awful lot of extra work, and I get really upset with myself when I set myself targets and I don't. Well, I always, if I set myself a target, I will virtually 99.9% of the time, I will get to it. But actually getting to it can be very, very stressful. I remember the last time I went up to my sister's and recorded some extra shows before I went, I was so stressed. It was so difficult trying to fit it all in. And I ended up missing out on sleep and that sort of thing. So in future, I think that's the better thing to do because everyone has holidays, don't they? So in future, when I go away for a few days, then I'll just repeat a week's shows rather than doing another lot. All right? I hope you don't mind. I found it much easier. It was much, much less stressful. Okay. What else? Oh, yes. I remember now. Last Friday, I went to a funeral. Now, do you remember about 5 or 6 shows ago, I talked to you about someone I worked with many, many times called Zsarday. And she was once a boy and in her 30s became a girl. We had that whole discussion a few shows ago. Do you remember? Well, I went to her funeral last Friday. She died 2 days after her 40th birthday from a burst artery near the heart. Now, I don't know the exact details of why she died. I know that when she went out to parties and things, she did party hard. In fact, I used to party hard with her. I suppose. Cool, blimey, let me think now. It's got to be over 10 years ago now. We used to go to a club and a few other people used to go to this. I didn't go with her. She was in there and I knew her, so we always said hello while we were in there. But we used to go to this club in London called Trade, which was open. It opened at 3:30 in the morning until midday, and I used to go there. I mean, I don't do it now. That's probably why I look so old now, because of all that partying. I don't do it. I don't go out at all now to parties. Doesn't interest me at all, or nightclubs. It was actually a nightclub, and we used to go there. And she used to party hard. The thing is with Zsarday, I don't think she ever stopped. She carried on. Now, it kind of makes me wonder. The 40th birthday that she just had, did she party just a bit too hard? And I don't think her heart could keep up, and an artery burst. Anyway, went to her funeral last Friday, and it was I would say, a different funeral from the ones I'm used to. Now, I'm brought up a Catholic, Roman Catholic, and I suppose, let me think, all the funerals I've ever been to have been Catholic funerals. Now, the funeral was actually at a place in Brighton crematorium called the Downs. Okay, the Downs crematorium, which is up this ever such a steep hill. Oh, blimey, I'm glad I was in the car and not walking up this hill. Anyway, the funeral was for 5 to 12. I got there around about 20 to 12, and already there was quite a lot of people. She was quite well known on the main sort of club, pub scene that I work on. She was very, very well known. Okay, so there was quite a lot of people at the funeral arrived, and a lot of people that I hadn't seen for a long time, including my very, very dear friend David Rosen, who I've mentioned to you a few times here on the show. And David was a DJ at one of the same. Well, he was there before I was at a particular place I worked at in Camden Town for many, many years. And I joined him there in 1989. I think he left round about 1995, I think, around that period, and I left, of course, there last year, and it was really nice to see him again, because I hadn't seen him for about 2 years. We talk on the phone, but I hadn't seen him, and he's got grey hair now. He's got grey hair. Lovely bloke, David Rosen, and lots of other people were there that I knew. And so the service, we went into the church after Zsarday arrived in the coffin, of course, and we had the service, which was very, very similar to the services that I've been used to. At least the beginning of it was. There was a couple of bits in the service where people go up. And what is that called when you talk about the person who has died? You know, I'm not quite sure what that's called. Is it the eulogy? Is that what it's called? I think it's something like that because I think it was vicar. I think it was Church of England. The vicar did some talking, and then people went up and did little talks. But each time the people finished talking, people clapped. And I don't know, I just don't feel that's right at a funeral. I don't like it at weddings either. I mean, I've gone to many weddings before, and then the bride may now kiss the groom, and they'd kiss, and then everyone starts clapping. And I just don't think that's right in a church. Am I being a bit old-fashioned there, do you think? What do you think? There's an email address to the show. Please feel free to join in at any time. The email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Anyway, so they did these bits and pieces, and people clapped. And then another dear friend of mine, Paul Adams, who is a singer. Again, I've worked with him many times. In fact, for a period of time, he did do a double act with Zsarday, Paul Adams and Zsarday. Now, Zsarday is black, and one of the characters she did played on that fact. And before she had the change from man to woman, she was a drag act as well, okay? And one of the characters she played was, may I say, and I hope you're not offended at this, a big black mama. She had a big wig on, and she had clothes on to make her look big, but where her bum is, she had like knickers that must have been filled with something to make the bum look really big. Okay, she was of course black herself, so she didn't need the makeup, and I believe the character was based on her nan and mum, sort of a cross between the two. And so, and Paul Adams, he did the singing, and Paul also is black, and he would come on stage as a Rastafarian with that, you know, those fantastic coloured hats they wear. Oh, I love them, those woolly hats and the long. What do you call? What's that hair called? You know, the braided hair. Oh, I've forgotten what that's called now. What an idiot I am. You know the long plaited hair that Rastafarians had. He would have a wig on like that, and she would come on, and they would do this act, and it was just fantastic. Paul Adams and Zsarday. So Paul was there, of course, and he looked very upset indeed. After she became a woman, she stopped doing that particular act because, of course, then she was a woman. It was no longer drag. Do you see what I mean? Drag is a man dressing as a woman and doing a show. Okay, that's what drag is. Once you become a woman, you can't really be a drag queen, I suppose. I don't know. I'm not one, so there we are. And then Paul came up and sang a song, I Will Always Love You, you know. And I will always love you. Very nice. Very, very moving. And I'm always impressed by, and I have seen singing at other funerals. I don't have a problem with that. Don't have a problem with that at all. But again, they clapped afterwards, and maybe I'm just a bit old-fashioned with that, a bit too traditional. I don't like clapping in churches. I really don't. It was very nice, beautiful. I don't know how he managed to do it. I don't know how, when you're clearly very upset, you're able to stand there and sing a song without breaking down in tears. Although one poor lad did. A young little boy came up to the stage. I say young, he was about 16, 17, 18, and he come up, and Zsarday was clearly his auntie, or some relative there, and he read a bit, and he was crying while he was doing it. And I wanted to go up there and put my arm around him, you know. Of course, you can't do that in a church. You can't just go over there and do that. It was very, very moving, very moving. Now, what was different about this particular funeral was after all the readings and lovely hymns, we did Amazing Grace, I think was one of them. And what's that song? How Great Thou Art. Do you know that one? Then sings my soul, my Saviour, come to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. I always remember singing that in church. Well, it was actually my dad who used to sing it in the choir, St. Joseph's Church in Roehampton. So we sung that. And then, here's the different bit. At the end of the service, the priest or the vicar comes onto the stand and says, right, it's traditional in their country. Now, I'm not sure what country they're all from. Or not all of them. Of course, some of them are English. Some of them are born here. Was it Jamaica? I'm not sure where the grandparents and parents are from, to be honest. But apparently, it's a tradition where they're from to then remove the lid of the coffin while it's in the church, and the priest then says, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but everyone is welcome now to walk around the coffin and whatever, you know. So I thought, oh, okay, yeah, I thought I haven't got a problem with that at all. I think so, and that's the first time I've done that. Of course, I saw my mum in the chapel of rest and my dad in the chapel of rest, but I think that's a very private thing. Again, I think people react differently to seeing people who are dead in a box. And I remember going to see my mum. That was in Kingston Crematorium. After the hospital. Not Kingston. It was in the crematorium within the hospital. And they bring your mum out or whoever it is. And just before he opened the door, he said, okay, this is the bloke who was obviously running the thing in Kingston. Are you ready? Yep. Okay, I'm ready. And he opened the door and immediately I saw the coffin and I just ran over there and knelt down and grabbed my mum's hand. Now, I tell you this because I said to you, people react differently. My sister took a step in, looked over, says, oh no, that's not mum, and ran out again. Okay? That's not to be critical of anyone. It's just how you are, I suppose. Opening the coffin at someone's funeral, I think is a very different thing. Now, as soon as he said that and the lid was coming off, a few people immediately left the chapel. Okay, fair enough, no problem. I decided, no, I want to touch Zsarday. So, first of all, the mother goes up there. Now, here's another bit of difference. The mother, she went up to that coffin, open coffin now, and she was standing there chatting quite loud as I'm talking to you now, chatting to Zsarday in the coffin. And she was smiling. She wasn't crying. If I may use the term, a black funeral is very different. They appear to be celebrating the life of the person. None of all this crying. Of course people were crying, but it seemed to me a much happier event. Celebrating a life. And her mum was up there singing and talking loudly to Zsarday. It was lovely to watch. It really was. After the mum, then the other family walked around, and you kind of walked round the coffin. And then I joined the queue, and I got to the coffin, and I saw Zsarday laying there. And I just touched her hand and said, thank you. And I carried on walking round. So very, very different there. But I like it. I like it very much. I think that's a lovely thing to do, to actually remove the top of the coffin and then be able to finally say goodbye like that. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Have you been to a funeral like that? Do you know? Because I don't know. So you're going to have to tell me, is this a particular thing with the black community, or does it happen in other communities as well? I've certainly never seen it at a Catholic funeral. Do you know differently? I'd be interested to know that. Email address, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. When all that finished, we all went outside and then we walked over to the burial part. Again, slightly different here. So we had some prayers, and once again, her lovely mum, beautiful lady, went to the hole, to the burial hole, you know, as they lowered the coffin in, and was talking down to the coffin. And then after that, everyone, there were about 8-10 spades, okay, all where the earth is, okay, 10 spades, shovels. And everyone is invited to bury the body. Again, a little bit different from what I'm used to. Certainly at funerals I've been to before, you are invited to perhaps take a clump of earth in your hand and throw that onto the coffin. In this case, everyone is invited to actually bury the whole coffin. And indeed, this is what happened. I wasn't aware that they actually wanted us to completely bury her. So I went over, again, took a shovel of earth and threw it down the hole. I think it's a very special thing to be able to do that. I felt honoured for two things, really. Once, being allowed to touch Zsarday's hand before the lid went back on. And secondly, to be able to throw a bit of earth in, to assist in the burial of not a close friend, but nevertheless a friend. I felt very honoured to do that. And again, I thought that was a nice thing to do, to have your friends and relatives bury you. I think that's nice. I feel very sad for the mum. No one should have to bury their own children. My aunt too, my auntie Brenda and Uncle Malcolm, lost one of their children years and years ago. His name was Michael. He had Crohn's disease, and he was on steroids to help this, and it would appear that the steroids actually got him, which is terrible, really. Brain hemorrhage caused by the steroids that it was taking to keep him alive. You can't win, can you, sometimes? So they're all burying the coffin. And then all of a sudden, this rain, because it had been a really nice day, sunny, reasonably warm. The church, actually, the little chapel, was actually far too hot. They had all the heating on in there, and the sun was out as well. But never mind, you know. And all of a sudden, while Zsarday's being buried, this what I can only describe as a very heavy, quick shower came across. And at that point, a rainbow appeared. You couldn't make it up. I tell you, if that had been one of these films, you know, these films on the television, and someone was being buried and a rainbow appears and all that business, that is exactly what happened on the morning. And then we all let out an almighty cheer. You could not have timed it better. And people always want proof that there is life after death. You really couldn't have timed that better. just when those last sods of earth were being chucked onto the coffin, a rainbow appeared. Unbelievable. After that, we went for a little bit of a bite to eat and a couple of drinks. I stayed there about an hour chatting to people, and then myself and my dear friend Jason, who kindly met me there, he's actually got a flat in Brighton. We then went on for a walk on the pier and had fish and chips on there, because it was only a small buffet. So we had fish and chips on the pier, and then I went back to Jason's house. I tell you what, Jason, blimey, he doesn't like to see you hungry. Not only did we have what did I have? Fish, chips and baked beans. And then we walked back to his flat. On the way back, he bought a bag of 6 donuts, and we were already stuffed. And I bought an ice cream with a chocolate flake in it. Went back to his flat and had a little bit of a sleep there, which was nice. And then afterwards, I went to work in Brighton, where I am on Friday nights. So there we are. So that was the funeral, Zsarday's funeral. Lovely day. Different. Very, very different to what I'm used to at a funeral. But really nice. And the family did it so well. And it was a lovely day. A lovely day. What a shame all funerals aren't like that. And talking of funerals, I can't believe it's 3 months ago since I buried my uncle. Unbelievable how time goes. So there we are. Right. Oh my word, look at the time now. Do you know, I don't think I've got enough time to tell you about what I did at my sister's house. We've only got as far as Sunday. Oh, I'll save that for the next show, shall I? We'll save it for the next show. Okay. Got a phone call today from Wayne the butler, who has been watching a couple of the older shows, and he says he particularly likes it where I wear a tie and a shirt, because Wayne is a bit posh, you see, where I wear a tie and a shirt. Now, I have got a shirt on today, okay, but I'm not quite sure what's happened. I think I might have put it in a tumble dryer, because now I can't do the top button up. Look at that. I might actually, if I try hard. That's really tight, because what I was going to do is put another tie. I could have done that up, couldn't I? No, it is very tight, actually, on my Adam's apple, that is. I was going to put a tie on and a shirt today, but I couldn't get that top button done up till now, so I think what might have happened is that it's shrunk in the tumble dryer, which I had to use last week, unfortunately, because after the funeral, of course, I used the black trousers, and the black trousers I've got are a little bit too long, and they keep dragging on the floor, so I had to wash them ready for Bingay, which I'm doing later on tonight. So there we are. All right, Wayne. So in future, I shall try and wear a tie a little bit more often, just for you, sir. Okay. All right, let's hear from John in Rochester. Hello, John, over there in the States, who says, "Hi, Chris. This email is a couple of weeks old, of course, because we've been collecting them while I was away on holiday, all right? So sorry about that, John. Hi, Chris. I'm listening to your Thursday's show a couple of weeks ago about the American medical system there. Very, very different from the NHS. Co-pays, P-A-Y-S, on medical insurance means we pay a small portion of the medical service they provide. Although this could be very costly if you end up in hospital. Prescription meds or pills also could have a co-pay. So he says, and it's also my job that I retired from pays my medical insurance. Oh, well, that's handy, isn't it? You see, we were saying a few weeks ago on the show that we have the NHS here, and it does have faults, but at the end of the day, it's free. Okay? You know, if I suddenly need an ambulance in the next couple of minutes, all I do is pick up the phone, dial 999, an ambulance will arrive, it will take me to the hospital. The hospital may have to take me in to be looked after. I might be there for 6 weeks or 1 day, whatever. Then I might have to go somewhere else to recover from it. All free. No charge whatsoever. And that's what we're saying, the difference between this and America. In America, you have to have insurance. I gather Australia as well. You've got to have medical insurance there as well, I think. I'm not 100% sure of that. John goes on to say, my medicine only costs me $2 per prescription I need. OK, that's not too bad, is it? Medical help in this country sucks, he said, in the USA he's talking about. Most people can't afford to even see a doctor. There is a law in the US that says hospitals must take care of your basic needs if taken in through emergency. Hope that helps. Take care, Chris. And that's from John in Rochester, New York. Nice to hear from you, John. You've been with me a long time now, haven't you, as well? Weren't you? You were with me when we were doing when I was doing the show on the offshore music radio station, weren't you, years ago? Do you know that's about 2.5 years ago now that I stopped doing that? Unbelievable, isn't it? A couple of people have asked me to do it again. The problem is I can't take anything else on, really. If I take something else on, I have to give something up, you see. Right. Okay, now it's time, boys and girls, for News on Dallas. News on Dallas. Susan has been our Dallas correspondent and has attended the Dallas party, the Dallas reunion party. She says, "Hi, Chris. I have some real nice keepsakes from the party. A couple of them are breakable and quite heavy, so I'm going to have to take them to be packed so that they won't get broken. I got to attend the cocktail party for the $1,000 seats and receive a free gift tote." She says, "No, I'm not a gatecrasher, but was directed to the wrong section by the staff." Nice one, girl. £1,000, a lot of money. More on this later. She says, "In the picture of Patrick Duffy, he is looking at the drink voucher I just handed him." Let me see if you can... Yeah, and there's a picture of Patrick Duffy there. And he is indeed holding a little bit of paper, which is the voucher that Susan just gave him. Fantastic. Fantastic. Love it, love it, love it! She says, all the brochures for the event had been printed on a black background. How stupid that is. Where are they supposed to sign it then? Most of us had planned on asking the stars to sign the brochures and had not bought anything with us for them to write on. So Patrick is about to write his signature on my drink voucher. And then she says, right, get this, it's getting better and better, this is. What you see in his hand will be on its way to England pretty soon. Whoa! I also had Linda Gray, Sue Ellen, Charlene Tilton, Lucy, the poison dwarf, Ken Kennelly. Now, someone told me Ken was dead. He's not dead at all. I tell you what, I did see Ken. They did an interview for him on BBC News 24. Very difficult person to interview, I have to say. Is like one of the questions they asked him was, "Oh, were there any bits of Dallas that you missed?" And he said no. Just like that, no. I thought Ken was a very, very difficult person to interview. I wouldn't want to interview it. It wasn't nasty, don't get me wrong, but it was like getting blood out of a stone. Has anyone else seen interviews with Ken at all? Ray Krebs was there, Susan Howard, and the beautiful girl who played Afton. Blimey, she must be knocking on now, and she's got to be about 50, Afton. She says, so you will be holding in your hot little hand the same thing that was in Bobby Ewing's hand. Fantastic. Larry Hagman, JR, was not giving autographs. He was a very good sport about pictures, but he is in his 70s and getting a little feeble. He has to have a man on either side of him now to help him get up and down the stairs. Well, that's fair enough, isn't it? I have some wonderful close-ups of him if you would like to see them, but they are not very flattering. I don't care what people look like. I want to see him. I want to see him, Susan. I will send you more pictures and tell you all about it later on. And that's from Susan. So thank you so much for that, Susan. She also sends one picture here of Larry Hagman in a white suit there, kind of waving to the crowd. What a great day you had there. And I just can't believe how How long ago it all is, Susan. Just unbelievable, isn't it? How long ago all this stuff is. We got a new person listening to the show there, 13 years old. Hi, Chris. I listen to your podcast every day, the older ones as well. Anyway, I'm 13 years old and live in Wisconsin. Wisconsin. Is that how you say it? Wisconsin. But I study the UK just because I want to and I love it. And in 4 years, me and my dad are going to London for the 2012 Olympics. And I couldn't explain how excited I am. Well, his name's Peter. Well, Peter, I have to tell you, I'm hoping to try and get a ticket myself for the opening events. I really, really want to go and see that. I can't wait to see Big Ben and everything in London. I've heard a lot of good things about it. And hopefully by then the dollar will be worth more. Well, I mean, it is worth more now. It's increasing in strength. The pound is not doing well at all at the moment against anything, really. We're not having a very good time with all that stuff. So he says, so yeah, just thought I would write because you seem like a real friendly guy. I like to think I am. I'm friendly. So if you would ever have any questions about the States, just email me back. Or if you want to tell me anything about the UK, have a great day and love your podcast. And that's from Peter in Wisconsin. So thank you, Peter, and welcome along to the show. Welcome to the show. The more the merrier, Peter. Yeah, it's true. The more the merrier. One quick one here from Joe. All right, he says, enough of this silence around my house. Even Amy is tired of listening to me chatting away. Will you please start talking and doing your shows again? Yeah, I'm back, Joe. Don't you worry about that. Back, but run out of time. Don't forget the email to the show. It's chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Thanks very much for listening and watching as always, gang. I'll see you on the next show. From myself, Chris Reardon. Bye-bye.